Two people fall asleep tonight at exactly the same time. 8 hours later, one of them wakes up having quietly burned fat all night long. The other wakes up having stored it, wrapped right around their belly. Same sleep, opposite result. And it has almost nothing to do with how hard they worked out, what they ate, or the genes they were born with. It comes down to 7 small things Japanese people do in the last hour before bed, while the rest of the world is scrolling, snacking, and slowly shutting their own fat burning down. Stay with me to the end, because number 4 contradicts almost everything the fitness industry has ever told you. And the order these happen in matters just as much as the habits themselves. There's a woman in Kyoto who every evening does 7 small things before she sleeps. She takes a long, warm bath, not to get clean, but to unwind. She eats a light dinner early while it's still bright outside. She walks slowly around her neighborhood as the sun goes down. She drinks something warm, and never coffee, in the hours before bed. She lets the lights in her home fade low. She sits for a few quiet minutes doing nothing at all. And then she sleeps in a cool, simple room. She is 63 years old. Her waist hasn't changed in 20 years. She has never counted a single calorie. She has never owned a gym membership. And somewhere across the world tonight, someone else is doing everything the fitness industry told them to. They eat clean, they train hard, they track every calorie, and they still cannot lose the weight that sits stubbornly around their middle. What if the difference between these two people has almost nothing to do with willpower and almost everything to do with what happens in the last hour before they fall asleep? Here's the equation almost everyone believes. Belly fat is a math problem. Eat less, move more, and it disappears. And for a huge number of people, it simply doesn't work. Not because they aren't trying, but because the equation leaves out the most important part of the day: sleep. Because here's the truth most people never hear. Your body does most of its fat burning not in the gym, but in the dark during deep sleep. While you're in that deepest stage of sleep, your body releases growth hormone, your insulin falls quiet, your stress hormones drop, and your system finally turns to your fat stores for fuel. But when your sleep is shallow and broken, and modern evenings make it shallow and broken every single night, that whole process stalls. Your body shifts into a protective, fat-storing state, and it doesn't store that fat evenly. It wraps it around your belly, around your organs, as what's called visceral fat. This is why Japan has some of the lowest rates of belly fat in the developed world. It isn't a diet. It isn't genetics. It's what happens, or what doesn't happen, in the quiet hour before bed. 7 small things. Let's go through all 7, because the order they happen in matters just as much as the habits themselves. Number 1, the evening bath. Ofuro. In most Western homes, a shower is the last thing you do before bed. Quick, hot, functional, then straight under the covers. In Japan, the bath isn't about getting clean. You wash before you ever step in. The bath itself is something else entirely. A slow, deep soak in warm water, usually an hour or 2 before sleep. And here's the mechanism almost nobody understands. To fall into deep sleep, your body has to drop its core temperature. That drop is the signal. It's what tells your brain the night has begun. When you soak in warm water, your blood rushes to the surface of your skin, and the moment you step out, your core temperature falls faster and deeper than it ever would on its own. Sleep researchers who studied this found that a warm soak about 90 minutes before bed helps people fall asleep faster and spend more time in the deepest stage of sleep. And deep sleep is where this whole story lives, because it's during that deep, slow-wave sleep that your body releases the bulk of its growth hormone, the hormone that repairs you and quietly mobilizes fat to be burned for energy all night long. Skip the deep sleep, and you skip the burn. So here's the shift. Don't just rinse and collapse into bed. Warm your body, then let it cool. You're not just relaxing. You're flipping the switch that turns the next 8 hours into fat-burning time. That's number 1. And number 2 is something you're probably doing far too late in the evening, and it may be the single biggest reason your body stores fat overnight instead of burning it. Number 2, the early, lighter dinner. Hara, hachi, bu. Eating until you're about 80% full, not stuffed. Here's the Western pattern. We eat late, we eat heavy. Dinner at 8, 9, sometimes 10 at night, the biggest meal of the day. And then we lie down right on top of it. And this is where the storing happens. When you eat, your blood sugar rises, and your body releases insulin to deal with it. Insulin is a storage hormone. While insulin is high, your body physically cannot burn fat. It's too busy storing the energy you just gave it. Do that right before bed, and you spend the first hours of the night, the hours that should be your deepest sleep, in full storage mode. Researchers who have spent their careers studying when we eat keep arriving at the same answer. It isn't only what you eat, it's the timing. Eating earlier and finishing earlier lets insulin fall back down before you sleep, so your body can finally switch from storing to burning. In Japan, the evening meal tends to be lighter, built around fish, vegetables, miso, and rice, and it lands earlier, with real time to digest before bed. Hara hachi bu does the rest. You stop at comfortably satisfied, not painfully full, so your body isn't wrestling a mountain of food at midnight. So here's the shift. Pull your dinner earlier, make it a little lighter, and stop a little sooner than you're used to. Give your body a few hours of calm, empty digestion before you sleep. That's number 2. Now, before the next one, number 6 is the habit that has nothing to do with food or exercise at all. And yet researchers say it might matter more than either. But first, number 3, the after-dinner walk, sanpo. This isn't exercise, and it isn't about burning calories. It's 10 to 15 unhurried minutes of walking after the evening meal. And the effect on your metabolism is immediate. Remember that spike of blood sugar that floods in after you eat? Left alone, a big chunk of it gets shuttled away and stored, often as fat. But your muscles are hungry for that sugar. The moment you start walking, your legs begin pulling glucose straight out of your bloodstream to fuel the movement. The spike flattens. There's far less excess sugar left for insulin to store. Study after study has shown that even a short, gentle walk after eating meaningfully blunts the post-meal blood sugar rise. It's one of the simplest, most reliable metabolic tricks there is, and it costs you nothing but a few minutes. In Japan, an evening stroll is just part of the rhythm of the day. A slow loop around the block, to a shrine, to the corner store and back. Not to sweat, not to count steps, just to move gently while the world winds down. And it does something else, too. It lowers the stress you carried in from the day, so you arrive at bedtime calmer, which quietly sets up everything that comes next. So here's the shift. After dinner, don't sink straight into the couch. Put your shoes on and walk, slowly, for 10 or 15 minutes. Let your muscles handle the sugar before it ever becomes fat. That's number 3. Number 4 is the one I promised. The one that turns almost everything the fitness world has told you on its head. Number 4, warm, caffeine-free evenings, hojicha. And this is the one that flips the entire fat loss industry on its head. Walk into any supplement store and you'll find shelves of stimulants. Fat burners, pre-workouts, late afternoon energy drinks, all promising to rev your metabolism and torch fat. The Japanese evening does the exact opposite. In the hours before bed, they reach for something warm and almost completely caffeine-free. A roasted green tea called hojicha, or simply a cup of warm water. And here's why that's not a small detail. Caffeine has a half-life of around 6 hours, which means the coffee you drank at 4 in the afternoon is still half active in your system at 10 at night, quietly blocking the deep sleep you need. And remember what deep sleep is: your body's prime fat-burning window. When growth hormone is released and stored fat is finally mobilized, stimulants steal that window. They keep you in light, shallow sleep with your stress hormone cortisol running higher than it should all night long. An elevated nighttime cortisol is directly linked to more fat stored around the abdomen. So while the industry sells you stimulants to burn fat, those stimulants are quietly making you store it. Hojicha is the opposite: warm, soothing, naturally low in caffeine, a signal to your nervous system that the day is over. So here's the shift. Cut off caffeine by early afternoon and make your evening drink something warm and calm instead. Stop revving the engine at night so the real fat burning can begin. That's number 4. Number 5 is something almost every single one of us is doing at this exact moment, and it may be silently shutting down the one hormone that controls your entire night. Number 5, the digital sunset, the Japanese idea of the intentional pause, the empty space. Here's the habit almost none of us follow. In the last stretch before bed, they put the screens down and let the light around them dim. And this is the hormone almost everything else hinges on: melatonin. Melatonin is what tells your body it's night, that it's time to go deep. And melatonin is exquisitely sensitive to light, specifically the bright, blue-rich light pouring out of your phone, your tablet, your television. When that light hits your eyes late at night, your brain reads it as daylight and slams the brakes on melatonin. Less melatonin means lighter, more broken sleep. Lighter sleep means less time in that deep, fat-burning stage. And it doesn't stop there. When you sleep poorly, your hunger hormones go haywire the next day. Ghrelin, which makes you hungry, climbs. Leptin, which tells you you're full, drops. So you wake up hungrier, craving sugar and fast carbs, eating more without even knowing why. One night of scrolling in bed quietly writes tomorrow's cravings. In Japan, the evening fades out under softer, warmer, lower light, and far less of it. So here's the shift. An hour before bed, start dimming the lights and put the bright screens away. Give your brain darkness so it can release the melatonin that carries you into deep, fat-burning sleep. That's number 5. Now, before the last 2, number 7 is the strangest habit on this entire list. It sounds like it should make no difference at all, but the science behind it might be the most surprising thing in this video. Number 6. Stillness, the Japanese seijaku. This is the one I told you has nothing to do with food or exercise, and yet researchers keep pointing to it as one of the most important of all. Think about how most of us arrive at bed. Phone in hand, mind racing through tomorrow's to-do list, the day's stress still buzzing in our chest. We lie down with our bodies, but our nervous systems are still sprinting. And a sprinting nervous system means one thing: cortisol. That same stress hormone staying elevated long into the night. And chronically high nighttime cortisol does something very specific. It tells your body to hold on to fat, and to store it preferentially around your middle, wrapped around your organs as visceral fat. You can do everything else right, but if you go to bed wired and stressed every night, your body keeps the storage switch flipped on. The Japanese counter this with a short, deliberate ritual of calm before sleep. A few minutes of slow breathing, a simple cup of tea, A tidy and quiet bedroom kept only for rest and nothing more. No work by the pillow, no laptop, no clutter screaming unfinished tasks at you as you close your eyes. The space itself says, "This is where the day ends." So here's the shift. Build a small wind-down ritual. Breathe slowly, clear the room, let your nervous system actually switch off so cortisol can fall and the storage switch can finally turn off with it. That's number 6. And now, number 7, the strangest one of all. Number 7, the cool bedroom. Kotatsu. This one sounds almost too simple to matter, and it goes against a very Western instinct. We love to be cozy and warm and bundled up at night. But traditional Japanese homes were built on a completely different idea. You heat the person, not the whole room. Think of the kotatsu, a low table with a warm blanket that heats the body sitting at it, while the room itself stays cool. And the bedroom in particular stays cool. Here's why that quietly burns fat. First, the sleep itself. Your body needs that drop in core temperature to reach deep sleep, and a cool room makes that drop effortless, which is exactly why people sleep so much more deeply in a slightly cold room. More deep sleep, more overnight fat burning. But there's a second, stranger mechanism. Your body carries a special kind of fat called brown fat, and unlike ordinary fat that stores energy, brown fat burns energy to produce heat. Research has found that sleeping in cooler temperatures can actually activate this brown fat, gently raising the amount of energy your body burns just to keep itself warm through the night. So a cool room does double duty. It deepens the sleep that releases your fat-burning hormones, and it nudges your body to quietly burn a little extra energy on its own. So here's the shift. Turn the temperature down at night. Cool the room, stay comfortable under a light cover, and let your body do the rest. That's number 7, and that's all of them. Let's bring it all together, because the order matters as much as the habits themselves. It begins a couple of hours before bed. Warm your body in a bath, then let it cool. Eat earlier and lighter, and stop before you're full. Walk gently after you eat, and let your muscles burn off the sugar. Swap late caffeine for something warm and calm. As bedtime nears, dim the lights and put the screens away. Settle your nervous system with a few quiet minutes of stillness. And finally, cool the room and sleep. 7 small shifts, none of them requiring a gym, a diet, or a single dollar. And notice what they all have in common. Every one of them is doing the same thing. Protecting your deep sleep. Because that stubborn fat around your middle was never really a willpower problem. It was a sleep problem, a hormone problem. And hormones, more than almost anything else, respond to the quiet hour before you close your eyes. The woman in Kyoto with her evening bath and her early, simple dinner has never once called this a routine. To her, it's simply how a day is supposed to end. So here's what I'd suggest. Not next week, tonight. Pick just one. Maybe it's dimming the lights an hour early. Maybe it's walking after dinner or turning the bedroom cool. Start with one and let your body show you the difference. First in how you sleep, and over time in how you feel. This has been a look at the science and the philosophy behind rest and the body. Not a prescription, just a perspective. If you're working through your weight or your health in a serious way, talk with someone who knows your story. But if this changed the way you think about your nights, share it with someone who's been doing everything right during the day and still can't understand why nothing's changing. They might be one quiet evening away from finding out why. And if you want more of this, the calm, the science, the Japanese way of living better with less, subscribe. Then tell me down in the comments, which of the 7 are you starting with tonight? I'll see you in the next one.